Joining me on the phone from Big Sky Country is my mentor, Mick Holien, the voice of the Grizzlies of the University of Montana. How you doing, Mick?
Hey, I'm doing good, Ken. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I saw on the news that, this is your last year with the University of Montana doing the voice of the Griz for the football and basketball, and I gotta tell you, it came across as a shocker.
Yeah, it was a shock to me as well. The timing was weird. It's in the middle of the season, and that's kind of strange in itself, but, these things happen. You just have to go onward and upward.
31 years as the voice. That's pretty impressive. A lot of announcers, that's quite a long stretch. What is your greatest memory that you're going to always hold being the voice of the Griz?
Well, I think the end of the championship game in '95 is always going to stick out, and I just think that Montana had never had that much success in football. They suddenly turned the corner. Here we are in the championship game. I just pinched myself that was in the playoffs that early, and I really didn't know the significance of it until it happened. But that's one that jumps out, and then of course the NCAA win over. Over who? Over Nevada in 2006, I think it was, and then the Lady Griz win on the road, upsetting Wisconsin in the first round of the NCAA women's tournament. Unheard of, the Grizzlies have never won a NCAA game, and I got a chance to be part of both of those.
Through, I think back all the football seasons, you've had the chance to interview some of the most amazing coaches. I think of, back in the early 80s, I can't remember his name, who was the head coach of the football team. I'm having a brain malfunction here.
You mean Don Reed?
Yes. Yeah. And then there was also the guy that left just this past year. What is it like knowing all these icons, I think, of Montana history for University of Montana?
Well, I think what you discover is that they're icons maybe in fans' names, in fans' minds. They're just regular guys, and so many of them have been Montana people, and so it doesn't surprise me that they're easy to get along with. You can ask them anything. They're very accommodating, and I've been lucky enough to be part of winning programs, which makes a big difference too. When you're winning, that changes things too. But the coaches that I've encountered over the years, it's just been a joy to be around them.
Well, I got to tell you, one of the things I'm going to miss listening to you is on those football games, and the crowd is all wild up at home, and it's that 1st and 10, and you're all wild up, and then somehow they score, and you got that, you got that big riled up voice. Touchdown Grizzlies! You have a way of announcing, even basketball, it slams it home. That's what I love about your broadcasting. Where did you learn your style, or is this something that you've learned from someone else and got? Where did you get your broadcasting techniques?
No, I don't think that. I never aspired to be a broadcaster. I'm a writer, I'm a reporter, and that's what I aspired to do. I knew that I'd be in the newspaper business, and I was for a long time. And as far as how you react to things that you get excited to, I have no idea. Somebody said, the best thing about it is when your voice just does this thing, but it's an exciting part of the game, and I come running from the garage, or I come running from the kitchen, and it's not something that I worked on. It's something that just happened that way. I grew up listening to Herb Lumber in Spokane. He was the voice of the Spokane Indians, and lived across the street from me. And I don't remember anything in his style. Of course, baseball is so different. It's more of the storytelling, and so I learned that from him. But as far as emulating anybody, I suppose Bob Robertson at Washington State does a really sound job
That's cool. You got to have your own style, and you got to make it unique, and that's definitely what you've done. Let me ask you about going back to the football. What is it like calling the game with the Brawl of the Wild? You've done so many of them. Which one really stands out the most for you?
Oh, I suppose, I believe it's 98. When the field goal won it in Bozeman, anytime you win in Bozeman, it's a huge deal. And the fact that I'm going to do my last football game in Bozeman is kind of bittersweet because I don't hate the Bobcats. There's a certain amount of respect that I have for them and their program, and certainly for the institution. And I have a lot of friends in Bozeman, and they probably hate me. I mean, a lot of the Bobcats, if you look online, a lot of them, it's good riddance. Don't let the door hit you in the butt. But anytime you've got players from the same state competing to see who walks down the street with their head held high for the rest of their lives. I mean, anybody that's played in that game can tell you every second of the game. They can also tell you how many years and so on and so forth. And even though they become friends with other Bobcat players, they carry that with them for a lifetime, and that's a pretty weighty thing to be a part of. And it's been a great rivalry. Montana dominated it for a long period of time, and now the Cats have come back, and they've kind of been a little bit better. And it's just fun to be part of those kind of games. But we've developed that kind of rivalry with Eastern as well. And I'm an Eastern Washington guy, so that game holds special significance for me.
I was going to say, I think one of the biggest rivalries besides the Bobcats is Eastern Washington. And I can always remember going to every game we went to for football was the Eastern Washington game. It's just something that is crazy. The atmosphere is a whole lot different. And there was times where we did go down to Washington to watch the game at their home. So I think it's unique because their football field, for one, is got to be hard to watch when you're calling the game with that red football field. But anyways, they're always a tough opponent for us, and it's guaranteed to be a good game when you watch it.
Boy, they've had our number. I'll tell you what, they really had our number. And, Mike Kramer, now the coach at Idaho State, and longtime Big Sky coach, is a personal friend of mine. And so, of course, when he had the Eagles, he knew how to come over here and win in Missoula, too. And they've developed a fan base on the basis of what we do over here. And we've got so many people, so many fans in Spokane. And we now have an affiliate over there, which is kind of cool, and a station that I grew up listening to, which always carried the sports. And it's just the important games. You maybe take a step up. I mean, the first words that you say, I never know what I'm going to say when it's my time to go on the air. Sometimes I haven't even given it 1 second of thought. Other times I don't quite have the headsets on quite yet, or somebody's talking to me in the booth, and I'll realize, that's me. And so the second that you say those first words, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the day, and that's when you feel the excitement building.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we haven't touched much about the basketball season. I mean, a lot of changes have happened within the basketball program between the men's and the women's, I feel, in the last couple of years. What do you think the positive things have come from that?
Well, just winning back-to-back and hosting the tournament is unheard of. And I got a text from him telling me to hang in there, and that's what he said. That'll never be duplicated. I think that's probably true. The Lady Griz won 56 straight conference games while I was doing games for them. I mean, that's unprecedented. It was the Mountain West Conference and the Big Sky. And I think that the excitement is starting slowly to come back to Dahlberg Arena. Travis has an unbelievable crop of players this year. The Grizzlies are going to be a career is sitting courtside at the NCAA tournament. It's the best seat in sports. And when we won that first round game and got to be there the second day, oh my goodness, it was like you'd suddenly taken a step up here on the national level.
Yeah.
I mean, suddenly we have somebody from the New York Times trying to interview Mark Chavez.
Wow.
I mean, what kind of deal is that? I mean, it was just all of a sudden, you know, Bob Ryan, the sports writer from the Boston Globe, he kind of adopted Crisco and did a lot of features on him and came to everything that we did. And, you know, suddenly you're competing for a story with people that are on the national level, and you realize that all these broadcasters that are ringing the schools are doing just what you're doing. And you are convinced, or at least you better be, that you're as good as they are, and you're going to call it better than they can call because you know the team. And yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, I got to tell you, growing up, our family friend Laura Morst, former Lady Griz, you know, we would always go down there with our church and watch her play. And I think back to the old, you know, arena before they twisted and turned it around. You know, back in the day with the crazy student section and, you know, the old, we're going to kick the hell out of you from the student section as they played that song, and the blimp and all that stuff. I mean, the University of Montana has always done things to make the fans pumped up, go crazy, whether it be on the football field or in the arena. It's just, even in the other sports, I feel, you know, they've done a great job with their sports program. What do you think of the new athletic director there?
Well, I like him. I think he's done a great job. He's taken the job at a difficult time. I hold no animosity towards him. You know, he didn't really participate in this decision. But yeah, I think he's got a huge job. I think that all of the improvements and figuring out how to pay for him and everything, and I think he does a good job. Boy, you mentioned Laura. Boy, that takes me back. I hadn't heard that name in a long time.
Yeah, but the old AAL company, which is now Thrivent for Lutherans, we would take a bus down there and support her, and man, I always remember sitting behind the announcer's table there and looking at you. I'm like, man, one day I want to be just like Mick. I would have the headset on, listen to you, and you know, that's the cool thing about the football games. And how many stations does that broadcast go through in Montana?
Well, it's about 18, I think, something like that, and you know, so that it gets through the state and then across Idaho and into Washington and up into Canada and down into Wyoming, and you know, it bounces around. Of course, when you're doing basketball, it's hard to say where somebody might be listening.
Well, that's the cool thing about it. That's the cool thing.
Excuse me. With the advent of the internet, I mean, you're worldwide, and I often get texts and pictures from, you know, Afghanistan and the troops in Iraq, and I'll get you know, somebody will say they were in Germany and they called it up on the internet. People listen all over the world. So there's a lot of people in Japan that are in there all the time, and that's really cool. My lady friend is teaching in Grayling, Alaska. She calls up the game every week, and it's a way for everybody to connect to their hometown.
It's definitely awesome. I'm currently in Maine, and you know, there's surprisingly a lot of Griz fans up here. I see them on license plate holders. I even got pulled over on a University of New Hampshire bus with my license plate going, hey, I'm from Missoula, I'm a Griz fan. It's amazing. Griz Nation is everywhere. And
yeah, it's funny. You'll be in an airport and somebody will go by on the walking stairs in an airport and yell, go Griz.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And it's especially with UNH being in the same division where they could potentially face the Griz. That's kind of confusing for me. I mean, who would you go for? I mean, last year they came close. If the Griz would have won that last game, they would have faced UNH, and that would have been a heck of a game.
Well, you gotta root for your hometown team where you're living, you know, but you'll always be a Grizzly.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's get this wrapped up here. I know I gotta let you go. One last question. What is your future plans after this season?
No, I haven't had digest it to have any idea. A couple of things surfaced yesterday, but they were part-time things, and they were just ideas that people had. I really don't know. When March comes, I was always off from March till the start of football in August for the last 9 years since I retired from the Missoulian. And, I'm up here on Flathead Lake, and I just treasure my every minute, and, I'll probably take the summer. I've thought about writing a book, but it would be a specific book, and I really, since I haven't obtained financing to do it, I can't really expound on it. But, I've written 3 other books, and they're, boy, it's a labor. I mean, the first book that I wrote took me 5 years of research. I don't know whether I'm up for that. I don't know whether I have the energy to get back and do such a thing like that again. The one thing about play-by-play is when you're around these youngsters, these student athletes, it energizes you. It keeps you, eternally young. And I want to make sure that I continue to, maybe be involved in some way where I can still be close to them.
Yeah, well, before we got on here, we were talking about the Red Sox announcer from Nesson, and the last words he said on his last broadcast was the only one thing that he could ask for through all his years, 15 years or something like that, being a Red Sox announcer, the only thing was to be remembered, and to be remembered at all. And I think that's a powerful statement. How do you think your last, words on air are going to be?
Oh my goodness, I have no idea. I really wouldn't. I've had some memorable send-offs, and of course I always end the game with "Be at your best when your best is needed." That's a quote from John Wooden's Bit of Success. And then I picked up a different one for basketball. And, so it will end with some kind of phrase like that. But as far as, what you're going to say to the fans, I think when you come to that point, take a breath, and you might well be on the air by yourself. You may well be somewhere else with the Big Sky Conference tournament being in Vegas, and then the NCAA tournament. There's a good chance your last game's not going to be in Missoula. And you want to show your appreciation as far as the fans are concerned and the sponsors. But it's a really private moment, and one, quite frankly, I don't even want to think about.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, like I told you, you inspired me to want to be a broadcaster, and it was all because of your style, the way that you do things so smoothly over the air. It's amazing. And if I could ask one thing of you before we go, can you just give me one good first down Montana?
Well, that's Peter Christian's phrase. He's the one that says first down, and the crowd yells Montana. And, I won't step on Peter because he says it like anybody else can. No one else can say it, and that's his phrase, and I'll let him have it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I appreciate everything that you've done, and I wish you the very best of luck and God's blessings on you, sir, for all the great memories you've given to all of us Montana fans.
Hey, thanks, Tanner.
All right.
Opportunity to talk to you. That's great.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, sir.